of it. You are like dripping with the viscosity of sanctimony as you ask this question.
No, that's an ad hominem, Vivek. That's unfair. I think you don't want to answer the question. That's to attack.
Man, check this out. Vivek Ramaswamy just completely shut down David Pakman on the David Pakman show. That soy boy Pakman was trying to goad Vivek into buying his deep state narrative, but Vivek flipped it right back on him and exposed the real machine that's crushing regular Americans' lives as we speak. Let's jump in, folks.
I mean, really, I think that there's a managerial machine
that
decides who's going to be churned out. It's not one person, it's a system. And I think it goes back to the way the government's run. I think the people who we elect to run the government are not the ones running the government. I don't think Joe Biden is really making most of the policy decisions that come out of the executive branch of the government. I really don't.
But give an example of someone who's making the decisions. I know you can't, it's not one person, but there must be a group.
It's not one person. Well, I'm resisting the premise, David. It is a machine. That is the Leviathan. I mean,
who runs the machine?
This is the apparatus. It's the wrong frame. That's the whole point, David.
Who built the machine?
Well, I think it's been built over the years from decades of purposeful loss of accountability. I think it was built by people who were elected into office that did not want to actually bear the accountability for their actions, and so quietly devolved power, first from Congress to three-letter agencies, from three-letter agencies to a managerial class that pervades the public and private sector alike. You don't have to take it from what you will see as a crazy Republican candidate, far right or whatever you want to label me on your show. Michael Lind has written about this in a lucid manner. I think that there's a horizontal managerial class that pervades the public, private, and intermediate sectors in the United States that's wielding the decisions.
I just think it would put a lot of texture to it if you were able to say, Hillary's
Susan
in the
Rice,
class,
or Susan Rice. I mean, you can give examples of the people
Nancy Pelosi's husband, or Ellen DeGeneres, or
But that's not my view, and I understand the way the game is played. To then,
it's not a game. I'm just curious who it is.
But it's fine. I understand it. I'm having fun with it.
No, but it's not a game. There must be some people.
David, and I don't say this in an ill-spirited way at all, just getting to the truth of it. You are like dripping with the viscosity of sanctimony as you ask this question.
No, that's an ad hominem, Vivek. That's unfair. I think you don't want to answer the question. That's to attack me. It's an obvious question. If there's a machine and a managerial class, someone must be involved. There must be someone.
That's your assertion, David. And I think that my whole premise is that I think this is true in both parties, but it's particularly true in the modern Democratic Party. I don't think Joe Biden has a choice in the matter of whether he's the nominee or not.
I honestly can't tell if David Pakman's just playing coy or if he's flat out clueless. Either way, Vivek Ramaswamy nailed it. This whole framing is completely off. Look, I think what we're seeing is straight up corruption. When too many people get too much power, a lot of them just lose their moral compass. They stop caring about the fallout of their decisions, stop caring about their own greed, and stop caring what happens to anybody else. It becomes every man for himself, whether it's ego, narcissism, or whatever else drives them. They yank the system around, ordinary folks get stuck with the mess, and nobody in power seems to give a damn that the decisions are wrong for the wrong reasons on the wrong issues. What we need are people with some actual moral backbone who'll stand up and say, no, this is wrong. We've got to fix this. Seriously, why is anyone spending time arguing about gender reassignment surgery for violent criminals in prison? We've got a mountain of real, massive problems staring us in the face. Why is this the hill someone's dying on? It doesn't make a lick of sense. But yeah, it's actually happening. And I don't buy that Pakman's being genuine here. He almost never is. Viciously sanctimonious might be the perfect way to put it. What do you all think? Drop it in the comments, hit that like button if you're enjoying the conversation, and let's get back into it.
You can keep repeating that and you can do ad hominems, but you're not really answering.
David, and for you to sort of now claim victim and claim ad hominem.
No, I'm not a victim. I'm fine. I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy.
Of course you are. And so I'm treating you like one. And so I think the viscosity of the questioning is basically resisting the premise of the core point that I'm sharing with you, which is that it is not one puppet master that's an individual.
I agree.
It is a managerial machine that in the Democratic Party, in the Democratic establishment, and I think it exists in the Republican establishment too, is designed to crush the will of everyday citizens and to decide that this is who will be served. Up to you to digest. You're force-fed who you get. I think this is why the Biden documents case. Why don't you hear much about that right now? Why don't you, the open-ended investigation of Hunter Biden? I think these are levers that if Joe Biden tries to act like an agent and say when their time of deciding that he's not the nominee, well, I think that's when you're going to see those investigations then pick up steam to say that, well, you're not getting out of the way. We're going to get you out of the way. I think that is the Leviathan. It is not an individual. It's not individual action. It is collective
But I'm not
action.
claiming it's an individual. I mean, listen, I think ultimately the audience can evaluate. When I say give me anyone, and you say my questions are when you say my questions are viscous,
one of hundreds of people, the Susan Rices of the world, sure, fit in that machine, but it's not one puppet master.
People like Susan Rice.
Yes,
people like Susan Rice.
People of that class, absolutely.
That's an answer. That could have been the first thing. You know, I mean, I don't know why my questions are viscous.
But I've played this game enough to know to say that Vivek thinks Susan Rice is the puppet master. But
no, I'm not saying that.
Person.
I have no interest in saying that you said that. I just wanted to feel. I just was like, what sorts of people are you thinking
about?
There you
got an answer. There you go.
Whatever games others might play, I'm certainly not playing with you. I'm just curious who you're referring to, and people can judge it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people have an innate understanding that the people who are the politicians pretending to make those decisions, they're not really the ones making those decisions today. And I think the more clearly we see that, the more clearly we understand the work we have cut out ahead of us to reform a broken system. I'll give you other examples too while we're at it. See, now that you sort of clarified where you are on which premise you're asking about, I think the donor class is part of this as well. I think there's a lot of people who in the Democratic Party, you're told that the Democratic Party stands for one person, one vote.
Right.
Well, I don't think so, not so clearly. I think that the people who are writing multi-million-dollar checks, even though they say you can only give $3,300 to Joe Biden,
right?
Why is he flying to Greenwich, Connecticut for $25,000 or $50,000 a plate dinners?
And this applies to Harlan Crow and the Koch brothers too, right?
I think it pervades both parties.
Okay, just making sure.
I've been as critical about this in the Republic, but you asked a question about the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I'm against the influence of mega money in politics, period. But
I'm with
this is when you get to the reality of what that machine looks like. These are inputs into that machine. People who have lived in high levels, but not politically accountable levels of the administrative state that still have the dirty secrets that they're able to use as levers for the people who actually are in power, to the mega donor class that provides the mother's milk that is modern politics in both parties. Yes, I think that is all part of the machine that decides who and who isn't part of eligible to wield power.
Yeah, I think Vivek Ramaswamy put that really well. What we're dealing with here is this long-running machine, a whole collection of people who've been operating for a long time. And when Donald Trump came along, they finally overplayed their hands so bad that regular folks could actually see it for what it is. I mean, when they're just making up news and stories so openly that anybody with eyes can tell it's a straight-up lie, and yet half the country is still going along with it like nothing's wrong, that's when you start realizing just how big and how deep this thing really runs. Call it the WEF, call it the Illuminati, call it whatever you want. I don't have a perfect name for it. But whatever it is, it's un-American as hell, and it sure doesn't do a single thing to help the average American trying to get by. So what did y'all think about what Vivek had to say? Drop it in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, take care of your people, and I'll catch you on the next one.